Hello everyone, this is Mohammed Tohami from Midway Simplicity and welcome to a new episode of the Midway Simplicity Show where I invite simple living advocates to share with you a few tips that are not too harsh for your lifestyle and that can help you simplify the 5 most important areas of your life, which are time, health, things, finances and relationships. And today I have an awesome guest. She is Tammy Strobel from RowdyKittens.com and she is the tiny house enthusiast. You're probably
It's
hearing
true.
about, I think people can see your house behind you. It's a tiny house on wheels that Tammy lives on, probably anywhere she would like to live. So, welcome, Tammy. It's an honor to have you on the call today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I love it when you share blog posts that we are moving to this place tomorrow and we are moving to this place next month and we are living a very simple and people usually when simple living experts talk they usually talk about having like one bag to fit in all your stuff in so that this way you'll
Hmm.
be light and travel, but you have also a house that is mobile house that you can take with you whenever you would like
Yeah.
to move. This is very interesting. So share with us your story. How did it all start?
Oh my gosh. This all started in 2005. At the time, I was working in the investment management industry and I was really unhappy. I was commuting 2 hours a day. I had a lot of stuff. And so my husband Logan suggested that we downsize our lives. And I was like, I really don't want to downsize. I wasn't on board at all. So we had a lot of conversations about the benefits of scaling back, like our living space, our stuff, our debt. And obviously, I caught on to the idea. So it's been a slow and gradual process. We started out in 1,200 square feet, and now we live in our tiny house, which is 128 square feet. And like you were saying, it's on wheels. So it's kind of nice because we're actually moving on the 4th, and we're going back to Northern California to be closer to family. So, anyways, that's kind of the short version of the story.
That's awesome. So it's your husband who triggered this movement,
Hmm.
and how did you transform to this tiny house? Because I run a blog about Midway Simplicity, but when people see someone who lives in a tiny house like this is a unique, rare, and not mainstream kind of house or lifestyle. So can you share with us how this can relate to people who are looking for midway simplicity?
Sure. Well, I always tell people that, not everyone wants to live in a tiny house, and that's totally okay. I think, at least for me, like the goal of simplicity is to always kind of look at your own life and figure out what's enough. And that's going to look very different for someone with 4 kids, for example. They're probably going to need a bigger living space, right? But so, for example, my friend Christiana, she is downsizing from a 4,600 square foot house to a 1,400 square foot apartment. So that's a really big jump. But she kind of stepped back and asked herself that question of like, well, what's enough? What do we really need? And they decided it wasn't a 400 or 4,600 square foot house. That's really big. But yeah, so it's kind of, simplicity can be complex, but I think the journey's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all about the goal. Why do you want to simplify your life and how do you want your life to become or to look like? That's awesome. So let's talk about time. How
Hmm.
this simple lifestyle that you have pursued helped you simplify your time. Do you have some tips to share with us to help people simplify their time?
Well, so the first thing I did to kind of simplify my time is I tracked my time for a few weeks, and I basically printed out a calendar and I filled in everything I did throughout the day and throughout that week. And I was able to see gaps where I could, for example, work on writing instead of watch TV, or maybe I could go out and exercise or spend time with friends or family. So I would encourage people to start tracking their time for a week or maybe two, and they'll get a better idea of what they're actually doing versus what they think they're doing. Because, like, oh, I thought when I had the TV, I'm only watching TV like a few hours a week, and it was like 5 or 6 hours a week. So that's a lot of time that I could have used for other stuff. And not that TV's bad, I still watch TV and movies, but just not as much as I used to.
Yeah. And what about health?
Oh gosh, well, so we don't have cars, so that means I bike everywhere, which is great because I don't have I go to the gym, but I use the gym to sit in the sauna. I don't work out there, I just sit in their sauna. But, it's basically like I'm active all the time, and instead of driving, I bike, which is great.
So you're saying that living a simple life will automatically like motivate you to work out naturally. Use your body rather than using artificial things or like your car or whatever. So when you move your body and living simply, you will get healthy.
Yeah, totally. It doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to pay $100 a month for a gym membership. You could go for a walk instead.
Yeah. And what about things, positions? How to do you have some tips about the maybe decluttering, downsizing, whatever?
Sure. So I like when I look back at all the stuff that I had, one of the easiest things for me, because like when I looked at all my stuff in my big apartment, I got really overwhelmed. So I started with one small section of my house at a time. So for example, one of the first things I tackled was my closet, and I had a huge kind of walk-in closet that was packed with clothes, and I probably only wore 20% of those clothes. So over the course of a few weeks, I unloaded lots of clothes and I donated them to Goodwill. But it wasn't like a one-day thing. It took time. So I would encourage people to really take small steps and look at their stuff and what they really need. So I think that's kind of a less overwhelming way to get started, by just focusing on one small area of your house.
Yeah, the interesting thing about simplicity is that when you start the process, you will get addicted to it. You will want to move on to the next thing and the next thing, because you feel the beauty of the extra space and inner peace that you generate little by little.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And what about finances? Living in a tiny house, of course, means that you are saving a fortune. But what else can you do to simplify your finances? Maybe save more money and so on.
Well, I think the biggest thing is to stay out of the mall. I know it's kind of like simple advice, but I used to go to the mall all the time. When I was in the investment management industry, there was an outlet mall near our office, and I would go there all the time with my girlfriends and shop. And so I would be like, oh, I'll just go and I won't buy anything, but I always bought stuff. So one way to kind of kick that habit is just to not go, and you'll save money automatically. So that was something that worked for me in the beginning.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and I totally relate with what you're saying. And finally, relationships. And I really want to know how your relatives, parents, and friends perceive the way you are living now in a tiny house. How can you, like, for example, make a party? How can you invite some guests to live or to stay for a few days with you? How you're dealing with other people when it comes to living in a tiny house like you are doing?
Sure. Well, I will say, when we started this process, my mom thought we were crazy and she was concerned. I would probably be concerned too if I were a parent, like, what is my kid doing? But she's really happy for us now because we're happy. She sees that we're healthy, we're debt free, we're doing what we love. And we actually, in our tiny house, we have a little pull out single bed. So if we have visitors, they can sleep there. or we put people up at a really nice little hotel in downtown Portland. And when the weather's nice, we can have like barbecues outside. But like during the winter, we kind of have a maximum in terms of who can actually fit in the house for a dinner party. So the most we had during the winter was 8 people in the tiny house. And it was really fun. So it's doable. You just have to be creative.
Yeah. So what you're saying is to simplify your relationships, you need to be a little bit creative. This is your dog,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, it's our neighbor's dog.
He wants to have part in the conversation, I believe.
Yeah, they're saying hi.
Yeah. Or he has a point of view in what you're saying. Agreeing or disagreeing. So. Okay, so back to my question. So how do you think we can make our relationships more simple?
Well, I don't know necessarily if relationships are ever simple per se, but I think you can make the time to really be present with people. So if you're at a party, for example, like really like talk to the person, like don't check your smartphone, put it away. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I see that a lot, like people kind of scroll through, and I do it too, and it's something I'm trying to break my habit of. But like just really being present with people when you're spending time with them. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
So I will say too that my dad was really sick earlier this year and passed away, and so
sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's how life goes. But the thing that's great is that I had the time to really be with him and help take care of him, and I'm really grateful that I had that opportunity. Whereas, if I was still in the investment management industry, it would have been impossible for me to really be there to help him and my mom. And so I think, like going back to that kind of time tracking thing and figuring out like where you can incorporate more time for the people in your life is really a key thing.
And now let's move to your awesome upcoming book. You Can Buy Happiness. The first person who say that in history. You can buy happiness, and not only that, and you're saying that it's cheap. You can buy happiness and it's cheap. That is the title of your new book that is coming on September 18th.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell us a little bit about the core idea of this book, and how can we really buy happiness? Because everyone is saying happiness is from inside, comes from inside. It's nothing that you can buy or whatever. And you're saying you can buy it and it's cheap. So tell us how.
Sure. Well, so basically the book is about living simply, and it also includes a lot of the latest happiness research as well. And so it was really interesting as I was researching the book and reading all the happiness studies that for example, Elizabeth Dunn, she's a leading researcher in this field, and she actually found that you can buy happiness. Like after your basic needs are met, so you have food, shelter, all that good stuff, and let's say you have disposable income, spending that money on experiences like going out to a dinner, having coffee, maybe investing in like a yoga membership, those are all things that will make you happier than just going to the mall and buying more stuff. And they found that the reason why the experiences make people happier is that you can constantly reflect on those things. So because of your memories, that brings you joy. Whereas with stuff, as humans, we adapt to new things really quickly. So like the new car you buy is really awesome for maybe a month, but then you're like, it's just the car, So that's kind of the gist of the research end of it. And I talk a lot about that in the book.
Yeah, and you talk also about your journey and how you bought happiness. So you think you bought happiness and the currency was simplicity, or were there other factors to that?
Well, I think the main thread is definitely simplifying for sure, and just being kind of more present in our lives and really focusing on our relationships versus stuff. That's been a really good thing for both of us.
That's awesome. So Tammy, do you have like final words you would like to leave our audience with?
Well, I would just say that don't stress so much about stuff, because in the end it really doesn't matter. It's the people in your life that are really important. And I feel like for me particularly, that lesson's really been cemented this year after all my experiences with my dad and my mom. And so, stay out of the mall and go hang out with your friends instead.
Yeah, simplify your life, associate or get close to the people who mean a lot to you, and just keep the things that you are proud to own and that will make you happy. This is how you can
Yeah.
buy happiness, and this is how
Mhm.
it's cheap. It's cheaper than the mall, definitely.
Yeah.
Tammy, you are a great source of inspiration to me personally, and I believe you are a great source of inspiration to thousands of people from all over the world through your amazing photos that you are posting on your blog, through your inspirational writings, everything. And I believe your book will take the world by storm and change millions of lives. I believe so.
Well, thank you. You're very kind.
Thank you so much, Tammy, and I hope to have you again on another call to dig deeper into the topic of simplicity.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Talk about having like one bag to fit in all your stuff in, so that this way you'll be light and travel. But you have also a house that is mobile house that you can take with you whenever you would like
Yeah.
to move. This is very interesting. So share with us your story. How did it all start?
Oh my gosh. This all started in 2005. At the time, I was working in the investment management industry and I was really unhappy. I was commuting 2 hours a day. I had a lot of stuff. And so my husband Logan suggested that we downsize our lives. And I was like, I really don't want to downsize. I wasn't on board at all.
5 most important areas of your life, which are time, health, things, finances, and relationships. And today I have an awesome guest. She is Tammy Strobel from rowdykittens.com, and she is the tiny house enthusiast. You're probably
It's
hearing
true.
about. I think people can see your house behind you. It's a tiny house on wheels that Tammy lives on. Probably anywhere she would like to live. So welcome, Tammy. It's an honor to have you on the call today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I love it when you share blog posts that we are moving to this place tomorrow and we are moving to this place next month, and we are living a very simple, and people usually when simple living experts talk, they usually Hello everyone, this is Mohammed Tohami from Midway Simplicity, and welcome to a new episode of the Midway Simplicity Show, where I invite simple living advocates to share with you a few tips that are not too harsh for your lifestyle and that can help you simplify the